The disco era wasn't all glitz and glamour. By the late 1970s, the disco backlash was in full swing, fueled by people who felt threatened by the cultural and social changes that it represented. Disco was seen as a threat to traditional masculinity and was targeted for its embrace of the LGBTQ culture. In addition, rock fans felt that disco was taking over the airwaves, and the media portrayed disco as a fad that was past its prime. Radio DJ Steve Dahl, who despised disco, used his platform to mock the genre and its fans with a segment called Disco Sucks. Dahl's anti-disco crusade caught the attention of the owner of the Chicago White Sox, who saw an opportunity to capitalize on the anti-disco sentiment by hosting a promotional event at the ballpark where Dahl would blow up a pile of disco records. What happened next was beyond anyone's expectations. The event drew more than 50,000 fans who brought their own disco records to add to the pile. As Dahl led the crowd in a chant of "Disco Sucks," the records were blown up and chaos erupted. Fans stormed the field, setting fires and causing damage to the turf. The second game of the doubleheader had to be canceled due to safety concerns. The fallout from Disco Demolition Night was severe. Record companies distanced themselves from the genre, and radio stations began phasing out disco music. The end of disco and the rise of the AIDS epidemic coincided, impacting dance culture in complex ways. Disco had emerged as a movement linked to the LGBTQ community, with its sounds and spaces providing a sense of freedom, joy, and sexual expression. However, the AIDS epidemic brought tremendous loss and suffering to the community, with many disco icons and fans falling victim to the disease. As the epidemic spread, a culture of fear and stigma emerged, affecting the dance scene and the wider culture. However, it is important to note that the response to the epidemic was not simply about repression and shame. Instead, many people in the dance community embraced sex positivity, promoted safer sex practices, and brought a new health awareness as a means of empowerment and liberation. And while the decline of disco is often associated with the onset of the epidemic, it's important to recognize that the genre and its legacy were never solely defined by sex or sexuality. Disco represented a celebration of life, love, and community for all.